Hello my dear friends, my name is Sanne and I'm back with another beauty video, and today I'm doing another tutorial for you, and I'm gonna be doing a cut crease tutorial because people have been asking for it. I have been practicing with cut creases for a long time and I have gathered some tips that could be helpful for them, so I thought it would be fun to do a tutorial on that. So in this video I create this beautiful sunset inspired makeup look with of course a cut crease, and I'm gonna give you all the tips on cut creases because cut creases are difficult. They really are. They just are. I'm sorry. Cut creases are difficult. I have spent a long time practicing cut creases and still they don't turn out absolutely perfect. It consists of a lot of time spent to figure out what shape is good for your eyes, what products are best for you to use. It can be a bit of a difficult process and it's a difficult technique. Hopefully this video will give you some tips on how to do a cut crease so you can learn a bit easier, and yeah, I'm just gonna give you all the tips today. So let's quickly get into this cut crease tutorial. I'm gonna start with priming my eyes. I'm gonna use a light primer for this first layer. And I'm not gonna do my base makeup this time first. Usually I always start doing my base makeup first, my concealer and such. But I'm gonna be working with some very deep matte shades and I'm afraid they'll give a bit of fallout. So I'm just gonna do my eye makeup first so I can get rid of any fallout before I do my base makeup. Okay, so for the matte shades I'm gonna get into my Beauty Bay Bright Matte palette. Because it has a great range of shades. I think I'm gonna use the very warm toned purples, these ones, and then go over into a tiny bit of pink, then orange, then yellow, I think. So I'm just gonna get into Wisteria, and I'm just using a bit of that shade on a dense pencil brush, and I'm gonna just dab that into this outer corner. And I'm not really gonna blend yet, I'm just gonna make sure that I have some pigment going on over there. And I'm using this pencil brush so I can make sure that I have very clear sections of color, so I can do that gradient of 4 shades. Because if you start with a fluffy brush, you tend to make a very big area purple already, and then it makes it very hard to blend the other shades over here. And then you get a bit of a messy, muddy look. So this is why I'm using such a small brush and just stamping it on where I want it to be. Then I'm gonna go into the bit lighter purple shade next to it, Sugar Plum. I'm just kind of slightly stamping this along that edge. And this is where I want to stop because I'm already going very wide over here and I don't want it to be messy. So as you can see, I went a tiny bit overboard on the shape over here, but this one still has a very lovely round shape. And now we want to work those other shades in there before we start blending. So I'm going into a tiny bit of pink just to get that gradient from purple to orange going, because purple and orange are quite far apart from each other on the color wheel, so I just want to have that pink in there to get a bit of a better gradient going. So I'm going into Dragon Fruit, stamping that next to the purple. Going over the purple a tiny bit, so it's already a tiny bit blended. Now we're gonna go into the orange, and I'm using Heat Wave, which is more of a warmer orange. Stamping that right next to it. And as you can see, by stamping it, I'm already blending it a tiny bit into that pink and purple. And then the final shade, of course, is yellow. So I'm gonna get into Hello Sunshine and just stamping that into that inner corner. And as you can see, we've created a lovely gradient shape. So now I'm just gonna go into some lighter versions of these colors, just like what I stamped around the edge of this purple shade. And I'm gonna just very softly blend it using a very small brush. And I'm just gonna go around that edge. And the further outwards you're going, the less pressure you want to put onto that brush. And if you're going for a lot of bright colors, like I am in this look, and you want the blend to look very clean, you do gotta spend some time on it. You have to use small brushes, small circles, small movements. And if you ever feel like blending isn't going too well, you can always go into a shade that's close to your skin tone and then blend that along the edge. But the thing is with cut creases is for a good cut crease to work, it goes a lot higher on your eye than you expect it to. Because it is like usually talked about like you're doing it on your lid, but you're actually doing it above your lid and above your crease. So you take up a lot of space. So for the color to show over here, where the cut crease is gonna go on top of, you want to blend quite above your crease and have a good color going above your crease, because otherwise you're gonna cover it all up and you won't see any of it, and that's just too bad because you spent a lot of time working on that blend and that color. Okay, so the blend is done. That took a long time, I'm sorry. And now we're gonna go on to the next step. And the next step is sometimes different for me because I'm gonna add like a little step in between. I only do this next step when I have a makeup look where the matte shades are very different from the shimmer shades that I'm gonna put on the cut crease, or any color that I'm gonna put on the cut crease. I am gonna put like similar colors on there, but I just wanna show you this trick for when you do want to put different colors on there. So I'm grabbing a little cotton swab and some makeup remover. And I'm gonna kind of draw out a cut crease already using the makeup remover. It doesn't have to be exactly like where your cut crease is gonna be, but it's just gonna make it a whole lot easier to create a clean base for your cut crease. Because when you're gonna be putting your concealer or eyeshadow primer on top, you aren't gonna have a mix of matte shades with concealer and create like a colorful concealer on your eye, because that's what happens when you put like concealer directly onto the eyeshadow. And usually that isn't too bad when you're gonna put a similar shade on top of it. But if you're gonna do a different shade, then cleaning up your eyeballs like this can help quite a bit. Okay, so I created some sort of like empty base to put my concealer on top. And now I'm gonna get into the actual cut crease, and for that I'm using a concealer, the Catrice True Skin Concealer. And I'm gonna be using a flat brush. I personally prefer to use a smaller flat brush like this one. I'm sorry, my hands look gross, but I prefer to use a smaller brush like this one. You can also use a bigger brush like this one. It's just what you prefer. You can see the difference. I just prefer to use a smaller one because it gives me a bit more control. And then I'm just gonna dab a bit of my concealer on the back of my hand so I can easily grab it. So just put a bit over there. And then we're gonna go in. So I'm gonna put a tiny bit of that concealer onto my brush. Like really on the flat side and not on the tip or anything, but really on the flat side of it. Not too much, you wanna start with a very thin layer. And then I'm just gonna start like dabbing that on. I really try to start from that inner corner. Like, do you see right here? Like where really that my tear duct hole ends. That corner. That's where I like to start because it gives a bit more of a natural shape. Since my eyes are a bit hooded, on top I have to go quite above my crease. And if I'm gonna start very like inwards, it's gonna create this very weird high, very round shape. And I want to start a bit more inwards, so it creates a bit more of a natural looking curve. Then I'm just gonna start dabbing that on and going into that shape. And I'm trying to keep above my crease. I'm trying not to drag too much because then you'll disturb the eyeshadow that's underneath, and that's when you get those mixed shades. And when you get to the center of your lid, it's gonna be a bit easier to figure out how high your cut crease must be. I just like to put it a tiny bit above my crease. And then just have my eye do a normal thing. And then it's kind of gonna stamp it on the top side. So if you have any like overlap, it's gonna show you and you can alter it. Because when you put your cut crease too low, like inside the crease, it's gonna transfer on top of that matte shade that you just put down. So you really want to make sure that your cut crease is high enough. And then I just like to drag it out over my lid so I don't get too thick of a layer. Because if you're gonna add shimmers or anything on top, it's gonna look a bit thick. So I just wanna like spread it out a tiny bit before it dries down. And for this cut crease, I'm gonna continue to like right past the center. And then you have this cut crease down. I guess you can see I have to go quite up high here. So if I were to go from inside here, it would have been a very weird high shape. So that's why I start right in this inner corner, like right where my tear duct stops. That is where I'm placing it. So the most important things to remember for such a clean cut crease are: start from your right in your inner corner, not the inner corner of your lid. Make it nice and rounded. Try to keep it natural. And then for up here, just dab some on, close your eyes, and then you know where the edge of your cut crease has to be. That is very important because you gotta keep that cut crease high up there, because you don't want any transfer during the day when you're just wearing your lovely look and you just finished it and you close your eye and half of it is over there where it's not supposed to be. So those two, very important. Dabbing, not a lot of dragging, and keep it thin. And that's kind of it. Besides those technique tips, it's mostly just practice. And remind yourself to keep that matte also up high, because as you can see, there's barely any yellow left. So make sure to really blend out the matte shades, especially in the inner corner. And if you're doing a full cut crease, you can just continue this. Go with the curve of your natural eye shape, and then you can create a wing. If you see this outer corner of your eye, just go straight up from there till approximately like the tip of my eyebrow height. And that's mostly just figuring out what shape works best for you. So I'm just quickly gonna do this cut crease on the other eye as well, and then we'll continue. Cut crease is on. Let's get into adding some extra eyeshadows, shall we? So I'm first gonna go back in with a pencil brush and that deep purple shade that we used in the beginning. And we're just gonna apply that to the outer corner again, just to get a bit of a gradient going. And I just generally like to go along the edge of my lid as well to create a bit of a liner shape. Blending that. And then going into that lighter shade next to it, which is Sugar Plum. And just kind of blending that. Okay, now we got that blend going. We're gonna add some shimmers. So let's choose those. And I think I'm just gonna go into my Chaos Dirt shimmers because those are my favorite. Okay, so I think I'm first gonna go into Future Fuchsia, which is this one, which is the most warm toned purple that I have. So I'm just gonna grab that same like similar flat brush that I used for the cut crease. And I like to go in with such a flat brush because that means I can get it very close into that cut crease shape that we put down. And after I made sure that it's like really along that cut crease edge properly, I usually like to go in with my fingers a bit because I always feel like shimmers apply better with my fingers. Just go on top of that a tiny bit just to get the shimmers down a bit more. And next shade I'm going into is this orange one called Tawdry. Same thing, go in with that brush just along that edge to make sure that it's clean. And I just like to drag that on top of the purple just to make sure that it's blended. And then for the final shimmer, I'm going into Gold Coin from the Root Cosmetics City of Dreamy Lights palette, because that is just a bright yellow. And that's what I'm putting over here in that inner corner. And I'm just dragging that a tiny bit on top of the other shades so it looks blended. I'm just going into that orange Cyber Dream in the palette. Just dabbing that on top of that orange that I already put down. I'm just gonna do all my base makeup for a second and then we're gonna finish up this makeup look. Okay, I did most of my base makeup, so now we're gonna finish up the under eyes. So I'm just gonna go back into those same matte shades that we used on top, and I'm gonna go into that deep purple and just dragging that underneath my eye from that outer corner. And I want to make sure that the outer corner is a bit rounded because that's what I like. Then we're gonna go in with a bit of that pink, then orange. Okay, and then of course a tiny bit of yellow. Okay, and to finish this off, I'm just gonna go into that yellow shimmer that we used, Gold Coin. And I'm just applying that to the inner corner of my eye as an inner corner highlight. And I'm just dragging that a tiny bit underneath my eye because I like that So I'm just gonna finish up this look with lips and highlighter and eye pencils and lashes and whatever, and I'll be right back with you and I'll talk you out of this look. Okay, and this is the finished look that I came up with. It's just a very simple sunset gradient with a cut crease, of course, because that's what we came here for in this video. Let me give you a close-up of the cut crease. Always stay nice on top of that crease area, like right above it, and you'll be perfectly fine no matter what kind of shape you do. So that's my big tip. What I use to finish up the look, I'm wearing my LA Splash Phantom Lashes, the Essence Choose Your Glow highlighter in the shade Major Glow, and on my lips, which is like such a good lip combo. I just tried it out for the first time. This is the Maxim More lip liner in the shade 344 Muffin, and then topped with the Essence Hydrating Nude Lipstick in the shade 302 Heavenly. So this is the cut crease tutorial. I hope you learned something. I hope it can help you figure out how to do the best cut crease by yourself. If you have any questions left, feel free to leave a comment, ask me all about it, and I'll see if I have the knowledge to answer them. But yeah, that was my little cut crease tutorial. I hope you enjoyed and that it was somewhat helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. If you want to see even more from me, my blog, my Instagram, my gaming channel, and everything else you need to know about me is linked down below, so you can check me out there as well. And that's gonna be it for today. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Toodles!